I think YouTube is the best fit for the kind of content you're putting out too,
Yeah.
right? Like you kind of match the ecosystem.
Yeah.
Do you use TubeBuddy?
No.
Have you heard of that?
No.
I'll
Is it
tell
an
you.
app?
Yeah, I can show you it before I go.
Yeah, for sure.
It's pretty fantastic as far as like just automating some of the processes when you upload your videos.
Is there a role for the creation of art in a spiritual life?
Yeah, I think so for sure. I think depending on who you are, I think to me, all art is a spiritual act in some sense. I think there's so many similarities between those two realms. So yeah, I think it depends on, there are parts of art making that are very process driven, very technical.
Yeah.
Like when you get behind your editing suite and start slicing all this together, that might not be such a spiritual act, but there's definitely things where you have to go like fairly deep within yourself. You have to be really honest to make good work. You have to be open to surprise, and I like to say that one of the greatest gifts that art gives us, or one of the greatest roles of the artist, is to pay attention. And I think that's really at the heart of spirituality as well, because I think spirituality is a lot about opening our eyes to the world around us, paying attention to what's happening, slowing down, and when you do that, I think you can't help but kind of encounter this sense of wonder and curiosity and surprise. And for some people that's a sense that points to something beyond ourselves. And I think art can take us in that same direction.
Yeah. There's this idea in philosophy with the sublime, right? Where what you experience is so great you can't really fathom it, but it leaves you in a sense of awe, like you described, or a sense of reflection, or a sense of just a sense of wonder.
Yeah, and I've spent a lot of time in churches, I logged in a lot of hours in services, and I've spent a lot of time in galleries and concerts, and there's just we'd be here for hours if I were to go through all of the overlaps that I could see between those two experiences. There's a lot of similarities for sure.
And then obviously, whether or not you have a specific spiritual belief system or you're more a generalist or whatever, I think you can, in your experience, see how there are threads, right? Like whether someone is sort of, they just believe that there's something greater than themselves, as opposed to someone who's, like, say, a Christian or a Muslim or what have you, right?
Yeah. I think so. There's commonalities for sure. And I think, I have my own personal belief system, which if I didn't believe it was a good belief system, I wouldn't have it, right?
For sure, yeah.
So I have that, but that doesn't mean I don't see, I can't learn from other people's beliefs as well, and where they're coming from, because I think we all have, I think God is much too big, in my view, to be contained fully within any one system. It doesn't mean doesn't mean I believe, I guess it's maybe not a super popular view, but it doesn't mean I believe that all beliefs are equally true or whatever, at least for me.
Sure.
But there's something between that and saying that one is the only one that has any value at all, right? And I think we just jump to these extremes, but I've learned so much from people that I've met from other faiths. Kind of back to the original question about these overlaps or threads between art and spirituality, or the role of art in a spiritual life. Very specifically for me, there's a quote that I heard, and it's an indigenous from an indigenous elder, and I can't attribute it to any specific person because the person I heard it from wasn't the person that said it, and it's just one of these sayings, right? So
it's just wandered around. Yeah,
so I'm not sure exactly the source of it, but the saying is a song is worth 1,000 prayers, or a song is 1,000 prayers. And for me, that's super true, because as I've got older, I think I've gone through times where I've had, I grew up in a pretty fundamentalist, ordered religious life. And these are the things that you did, and prayer was certainly one of those things. And there was a point in my life where that was easy for me, and I would do it, and I would feel something, and it was a meaningful whatever.
Yeah.
But I think I've moved in and out of that at different times in my life. And the thing that's been constant in the times where I've felt further away from God, I've found writing a song or playing a song out of that emptiness has been something that has connected me back to God. Actually, I've also often talked about certain songs as a ladder that I'm trying to build up to God, because I can't get there any other way.
Sure.
So for me, in a very real practical way, my art has been a way of keeping my spiritual life alive. Yeah. And without it, I don't know. Yeah, it almost at the expense of everything else. It doesn't seem like some days I just can't seem to get there any other way. Yeah. If that makes sense.
It's a language unto itself. And for some people, it's like, you've heard of the 5 love languages, I imagine. I think of it in the same way as your oratory language. Like, some people can communicate certain truths of themselves through speech, but other people need to practice art.
Yeah. And I think art and science and spirituality, or even religion, I think those are 3 almost different approaches to ways of approaching ultimate reality. So we often see those worlds all as being very separate and sometimes even in conflict.
Yeah.
But I really think those are 3 really valid, beautiful ways of asking really important questions.
Absolutely.
And very different ways of approaching those questions, right?
Yeah. That's why I know that I want to do it, because the average person is just this isn't going anywhere, I'll just stop.
Yeah, and that's obviously not the main motivation for you, right?
Yeah, it's to grow.
It makes it a lot easier when you have to go and get new equipment, if you can say that it's paying for itself, but that's not why we do it, really.
Yeah, you do it because you care.